Diepe Waters for September 2026, the month of reckoning. The dust has barely settled on the tragedy that shattered Boskruin, but the winds of change are already howling across the Platland. Secrets buried deeper than the roots of the oldest willow tree are clawing their way to the surface, and no soul in this tight-knit community will emerge unscathed. Jacques stands at the precipice of his own destruction, a man hollowed out by grief, clutching at the fragments of a life that will never be whole again. The funeral arrives like a reckoning, and when Theresa and Jacques arrive to guide him to church, they find him frozen, unable to face the finality of goodbye. The Kimbay's floor has become his sanctuary of sorrow, and no amount of pleading can move him from its cold embrace. But Jacques is not alone in his spiral. Karla carries a weight so heavy it threatens to crush her, a secret born from desperation and guilt that she cannot confess. Her conscience screams at her with every stolen glance at Arno, who watches his wife transform into a stranger before his very eyes. The confrontation comes swift and brutal, an ultimatum that leaves Karla gasping for air, forcing her to choose between the truth and the fragile peace she clings to. The tragedy's aftershocks ripple outward. Zelda, too, drowns in the aftermath, her partnership with Jacques crumbling under the strain of shared devastation. But just when despair seems absolute, an unexpected visitor knocks at her door. Corrie appears like a ghost from another life, and Franz whispers promises of escape, of the farm where they can hide from the world's cruel gaze. And in the darkest corner of Boskruin's nightmare, Jenna finally speaks. She has information, she claims, about the man whose hands are stained with blood. The killer has a face, a name, a trail of evidence, and the walls are closing in. Rossouw, meanwhile, finds himself thrust into an entirely different kind of spotlight. His voice, once only heard in intimate company, has become an internet sensation. Strangers are watching, sharing, praising, and suddenly this quiet soul must navigate a world that sees him as something he never imagined he could be. Jacques and Rossouw extend trembling hands toward Jacques, desperate to pull their friend from the abyss, but some wounds are too deep for even the fiercest friendship to heal. Karla's web of deception grows more tangled by the day. Nina and Katinka exchange suspicious glances as they watch her dance between lies, and when Nina accidentally spills the beans about Karla's double life, the fragile house of cards begins to tremble. Arno has no choice but to deliver a final ultimatum, a last stand for honesty that could either save his marriage or shatter it completely. But Karla is not the only woman trapped in a labyrinth of her own making. Leandri braces herself for the return of Rene, a presence from the past that threatens to unravel everything she has carefully built. The memory of Rene's betrayal cuts like a blade, and when Marco refuses to let go, when he insists on fighting for a love that should have died years ago, Boskruin becomes a battlefield of broken hearts. Rossouw's journey takes an unexpected turn. A secret mission calls him away from everything he knows, and before he departs, he gathers Jacques, Leandri, and Jacques, delivering the news that will reshape their world. He places his trust in Zelda, whispering a desperate plea, "Watch over Jacques while I'm gone," and then he vanishes into the unknown, leaving behind a hole that no one knows how to fill. But absence breeds revelation, and in Rossouw's departure, new forces rise to take his place. A charming new mall owner arrives in Boskruin, a man named Gihan who moves through the community like honey through warm tea, sweet and impossible to resist. His eyes linger on Zelda a moment too long, and when he discovers something about her, when a secret of her own is laid bare before his calculating gaze, his focus shifts entirely. Theresa, ever the steadfast pillar, has her own surprise for Jacques, a gesture so profound it might just reach the frozen part of his heart. But whether it will be enough to thaw his grief remains uncertain. Fouché plays a dangerous game, weaving between factions, like a serpent in the long grass, while Sané tries desperately to give Jacques perspective, to remind him that not every sinking ship is worth drowning for. Her warnings about Jacques carry a gravity that chills the blood, grave warnings that speak of storms still gathering on the horizon. Liam receives an offer he cannot refuse, but the price of acceptance may cost him everything he holds dear. Rene struggles beneath the weight of her own past, her every step shadowed by the consequences of choices made in desperation. And Marco refuses to let her go, clinging to a love that has already proven itself toxic. Karla shocks her loved ones with a decision so radical, it threatens to sever the final threads connecting her to the life she once knew. When she stands before Sept with the truth of what she has done, the revelation hits like a physical blow, leaving devastation in its wake. The month ends, with the community of Boskruin holding its breath. Jacques makes a life-altering decision that will change everything, a public announcement that echoes across the Platland like thunder before a storm. Rossouw returns to Earth from his internet stardom, only to find that the world he left behind has transformed in his absence. Karla and Arno reach a realization that could either redeem them or destroy them completely, and in the shadows, a mysterious man arrives in town. His presence a question mark hanging over everyone's future. The stage is set for October, and the players are in position. But as the curtain falls on September, one truth remains: in Boskruin, no secret stays buried forever, and every choice carries a consequence that will ripple through generations to come. Who will survive the reckoning? The full story of Diepe continues, and the next chapter will leave you breathless. Subscribe now and join the family, because in Boskruin, the water runs deep and the drama never ends. Drop a comment below. Who do you think the mysterious man really is? And will Karla's secrets finally destroy her marriage? We want to hear your theories.